Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number 289. That's right, 289. We're almost to 300.
Damn.
Almost there. Brandon is with me here tonight, the most glorious ginger, in, frankly, all his glory, which is all of it, since he's the most glorious. Hello, Brandon. How are you?
I'm good tonight, Ben. How are you, my friend?
Fan-doodle-tastic? I don't think that's a thing people say.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Why are you so good tonight? What is...
You know me. I'm good every day.
I don't... Yeah, you sure are. That's exactly
No.
what I was thinking right before you said it.
No, I'm doing all right, man. Yeah, I guess nothing special. Just glad to be hanging out. We got some plans to game later. I don't know. I got a good night ahead of me, so I'm feeling in high spirits.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's also in high spirits is Dave, but Dave's not here. He's like in the Bermuda Triangle or something. So he's out this week. And then just before I forget, a special announcement. Because Dave couldn't make it at all today because of his travel plans, but next week he's not getting back until late Tuesday night. So the show will be live Wednesday night. Same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, same places. And then it'll still go up, pretty much immediately for Patreon members, and then the next day for everybody else on the free feeds. So we appreciate that. But just wanted to get that PSA out of the way. Hope Dave has a good time. He needs it. He's been sitting around at home for months now. He needed a vacation.
That's right.
I'm just kidding. He's taking care of a kid. That's important.
Vacation from the vacation.
That's right. Well, I really doubt it's been a vacation.
I'm just
honestly.
kidding. I'm just kidding. No working is the only good part about it. Everything else is difficult. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is the HP Podcast. We talk about, a number of things.
Video games.
Mostly, we try to focus on video games. If you want to support us in that effort, you can go over to patreon.com/handsomephantom. You can sign up to be a patron for as little as $1 a month. We really appreciate it. And I don't just say that lightly. We've seen some ups and downs in our Patreon. And it's fine. Like, this is a hobby for us. We don't depend on it to live. But it does really help us. Because otherwise, every year when we're, paying for our website to get renewed or we're paying for anything else, that just comes out of our pockets, which it's, we're happy to do it because we like hanging out and talking to you guys. But if you want to help support us, even at the $1 level, ad-free early access to audio feeds, a good feeling in your heart for everybody else, you can do that over at patreon.com/handsomephantom. I appreciate that. And if you don't want to, if you say, not my problem, that's totally fine. You can still listen for free and we appreciate it. And you can also join our Discord, whether you're a patron or not, over at handsomephantom.com/discord. We'd love to hang out with you there. Muchly.
Join the mother effing Discord.
That's right. Chat showing up says Dave is lazy. Dave is gone. How lazy of him. That is true. I didn't want to bring it up, but we have had a talk with Dave about his absence.
He is Canadian after all.
Yeah, and he's like, sorry guys, I got to go to Bermuda Triangle. Where did he say he was going? Maybe he doesn't want everybody to know. I don't know, but
yeah, I was gonna say I'm not gonna say, but
it's somewhere south of Florida. I remember that much.
That leaves it pretty open. Everyone can just guess.
There's a lot of places down there. He might be in Antarctica for all we know. That's all the information I've given so far.
That's what I'm saying.
And if you go far enough south, you're really north, and he's basically back in Toronto already.
He may or may not be south of the equator. I don't really know where that thing is, but...
You ever been to the equator?
No, dude, I think I would actually, spontaneously combust. Like, my skin would actually, start to sizzle like bacon, I think.
Yeah. I have been very near to the equator. I mean, I've passed over the equator on a couple different times. I've been very near the equator and in the ocean, and it is weird.
Why?
It's just a weird feeling. Like, the water moves differently. It feels like the buoyancy is a little bit different. The sun is obviously much closer there, so... is it actually closer? I think it's closer there. But either way, it feels hotter there for sure.
Dude, I fucking hate the sun, man. I'm so tired of it.
Do you know what would happen without the sun, though?
We're not going to talk about that. It doesn't stop my hatred for it, Ben.
I think you need to reevaluate some things.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, Dave's somewhere near the equator, we think. But he'll be back next week. And Wednesday, like I said, don't forget, We'll be here on Wednesday night next week. That is the 16th. No, the 14th. The 14th.
Yes.
Absolutely. You want to talk about some video games?
We can. Yeah, let's do it.
It's be a nice change of pace for us, I think.
Is this show going to be bloated then?
Who said that? Alex says that. Alex says, "Is the show going to be bloated then, like Ubisoft?" Yes.
We're not going to talk about a single Ubisoft thing today, I hope.
I don't think we are actually.
Yeah, we're definitely not.
It'll come up somehow. Dave's spirit will will it into existence.
That's right.
You know, even with Dave gone, he's still not as dead as Phil.
That's true. That's true because, Lord willing, he makes it back from the triangle.
Just a little deviation here from getting into the news. For those who don't know, we do have new listeners since then, but Phil was a buddy of ours who was on this show for a very long time. He used to do all sorts of conventions and go do press stuff with us. And then he's not actually dead. Just so everybody knows, Phil is not actually dead.
Phil is not dead. I saw
But
him a couple months ago.
He is dead to us, and by that I mean he's very busy and can't hang out anymore on the show.
Yeah, I'm gonna see him in a couple weeks, but yeah, he's definitely dead.
Can you take a picture of him for me just so I can look at it?
Remember what he looks like?
I'll see him tweet sometimes, or he'll respond to my tweets, and I'm like, I can't believe somebody stole his account from a dead guy.
Dude, legendary that Phil has taken a strong stance against IGN, like most people have. Dude, he rips them a new asshole on Twitter. I love
Really?
it.
I probably don't see it because I have IGN muted ever since they live tweeted the series premiere or series ending of Game of Thrones.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
But no, dude, I see him ripping. It's almost a daily occurrence now, and actually, I'm for it. He's like, what did he say the other day? This might roll into one of the news stories, but he was like, "You should shut down like Game Informer or something." I think they were
Phil's
like,
a wild card.
I think they were like critiquing Deadpool or something. He just is like,
Yeah.
He pretty much was like, the equivalent of KYS to a company shut down.
Wow.
So
Impressive.
yeah.
But anyway, Phil's dead. That's what happened with that. Moving on to the news. Let's talk about Bungie. Now, this has been almost a full week now, I think, since Bungie announced this. But there's been lots of articles and stuff that have come out. I'm just going to go through and read a little bit of this news story or this, this publication directly from Bungie. And it says, "The new path for Bungie. This morning, I'm sharing with all of you some of the most difficult changes we've ever had to make as a studio. Due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions, it has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. That means beginning today," this was a week ago, 220 of our roles will be eliminated, representing roughly 17% of our studio's workforce. These actions will affect every level of the company, including most of our executive and senior roles. It's a difficult and painful day, especially for our departing colleagues, etc., etc. They are giving an exit package, including severance, bonus, and health coverage, which is great. I don't know what all that means, but we'll get into that. I realize it's hard news, etc., etc. We're also committing to two other major changes today. First, we are deepening our integration with Sony Interactive Entertainment, working to integrate 155 of our roles, roughly 12%, into SIE over the next few quarters. Second, we're working with PlayStation Studios leadership to spin out of our incubation projects, an action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe, to form a new studio within PlayStation Studios to continue its promising development. And he goes on and on and on and talks. But Brandon, I wanted to talk about this to you because, one, we, over the years, we've had many different Bungie projects between all the Halos and between the Destinies. And I think you and I have played most of those and loved many of them.
Yeah.
And, of course, Sony bought them a little while back. And Bungie came out very strongly saying, we're still doing whatever we want. And now they're laying off a bunch of people. Seems like some reports are saying they were going to lay people off whether or not the final shape did well or not. So, that's something to think about. And then also, hey, not only are we spinning off into a new studio out of our staff to give to Sony, but they're going to have a little more oversight over us. I'm just curious what you think of all this.
Yeah, man, it's kind of crazy news. I mean, I assumed at some point there would probably be something from them just based off of the trajectory of the industry and how layoffs have been going. But for 375 of your employees to be displaced, whether that be to a different part of a company that owns you or to just be canned altogether, be it with severance or not, is a pretty sizable amount of your staff. Let me see, 220 is about 17%. So can we say roughly 12%? Okay. Yeah, like a little over 20% of the staff just like is
That's
fucking
like
gone.
that's actually 29%, right? 17 plus 12, yeah, that's about 29%.
Dude,
A third of your company,
that's what
basically.
I'm saying. So, yeah, that's a little bit of an interesting thing to happen, period. Especially when you're bought by a bigger company. Um, I'm assuming the final shape didn't do as well as they thought it was going to, and that's a lot that has to do with it. Now, I know you said in this article, I think that
It wasn't in this article. I
was it
saw it
not?
elsewhere. It's probably some whistleblowers or something like that. I don't know if you call them whistleblowers with layoffs, but
Right.
somebody said that they were planning on doing some layoffs at the very least,
Right.
whether or not Final Ship did well.
Well, it's just also like I don't know, man. Sony bought Bungie, I'm assuming, with the idea to like continually break into the live service
Yeah.
model.
Hmm.
And I guess if it's not like directly pumping money into that, then they're kind of probably trying to cut back a little bit.
Yeah.
I honestly assumed that they would want to keep their staff to kind of bolster the numbers for Marathon. But apparently they're cutting back, as well as developing a new IP, which is strange. So a third of your company vanishes. You already have a massive title in the works that is a legacy title, and now you're saying there's another title. I
That
don't
they're
know.
giving to PlayStation, basically.
Right. So something
Yeah.
just like doesn't quite add up to me. I don't know if there's just like I was talking with this. I was talking at work with somebody about this, and I doubt a lot of the Bungie staff is even the original staff from the games that we played. So, like, I
No.
wonder if that has something to do with it too, where it's like a lot of the talent has left. So, even though there is talented people working at the studio, said a lot of veteran staff, which is obviously sad to see. I mean, I wonder if it's just like this is just a really aggressive fat trimming, and I don't mean to like treat people like fat, but like I don't know, something isn't adding up. That was a very scatterbrained way to say, you have a new IP that's unannounced, and you have Marathon, two of which Sony, I'm sure, is wanting to pay off, and now a
Hmm.
third of your workforce. Well, not quite a third, because some of it's getting dissolved into that.
Right.
But a decent chunk
Yeah.
is getting just canned. So I don't know. It's just maybe they're trying for a more focused approach, but I would assume that would like drastically increase the development time. But I don't know.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I don't know this, but probably most of the people who were working on Marathon, which is yet to release, of course, are staying on. Like that team was probably more untouched than other teams. I'm assuming for because they're done with like the big part of development on the final shape. A lot of those people were either let go or spun off, and then the people who are already working on the new IP that are going to be integrated in with Sony Interactive Entertainment, they probably rolled over. So I mean, at least if you're one of those 12%, you still have a job.
Right.
It's just not directly with Bungie, and maybe that's better or worse for you depending on your your opinion of the workplace environment. But either way, it's not a good sign for the company itself, and it seems like I saw some reports, and it's so hard to know what's real and what's fake, and what's real, what's fake, and what is fabricated for clicks. But I saw somebody saying like they lied about their numbers when Sony bought them, and I really doubt that a company like Sony would have just like let that happen. But
No.
obfuscating the truth is a different thing than lying straight up, and I'm sure they looked at their books, so it's really interesting. I don't know if we'll fully ever know what happened behind the scenes, but I do know that I go a lot of different ways with it. Like obviously, it sucks that people lose their jobs. Sucks that people are getting laid off. It sucks that the whole industry is seeing this kind of stuff. It sucks that the head of the company, apparently makes a bunch of money and buys a bunch of cars. But at the same time, I'm on the business pragmatic side of it, where I'm like, well, that's just what has to happen if a company's not making money. You have to lay people off. A company head should deserve to make a lot of money, but I don't know if they should make so much money that it causes that many people to be laid off.
Right.
People are like, oh, he bought all these cars, and I'm like, okay, the problem isn't that he bought cars.
Right.
That's not the problem. Problem is that he's making a disproportionate amount to everybody else, and they're losing their job. That's the problem. I don't care what he does with his money once it's in his pocket, as long as the company is able to sustain itself.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know. Go ahead.
Ed in chat says there was one tweet from a former employee that kind of sounded like they stopped themselves from saying something that could have been legally actionable. We can let speculation run wild. Yeah, exactly. There's all sorts of speculation, of course, and there will continue to be, but it definitely doesn't seem like everything. What was it, 2 years ago that Sony bought them? Was it even 2 years ago?
Something
I really
like that,
doubt things got so drastically bad that they had to lay off a third of their employees, essentially, from Bungie.
Right.
If things were in the condition that they thought they were when they bought them.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, after you're saying it, I bet it is a lot of just the Destiny 2 team. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
the game's winding down significantly. I feel like I saw something, and someone in chat or in Discord can potentially substantiate this, is that this might have been like the last major update they're going to have.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And not that they're not going to update it, because it's still a living game, but that this is going to be the last like big one. So maybe it's a lot of that. It's just like, hey, we're not going to be working on this project anymore. So what do we do with these people? When it's like, well, do we increase the cost of the teams we already have working on stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, and it is sad though, like you said. I mean, especially seeing tweets from people that are like, I've been at Bungie for like 10 years and they're in senior roles and shit. Like, that's obviously heartbreaking to see, especially when you've been all along for the journey. That's why it sucks as someone who like plays Destiny to like not like it anymore and to like not be a part of it anymore, but like 10 times worse, because like that's like your baby. That's like even worse. So like, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not good, but ultimately not surprising and kind of with the territory at this point. So
yeah, but Destiny is gigantic, man. It's such a big game. First of all, they have to be winding down development, and some people in chat are confirming that. So I don't know. That doesn't mean the game's going away.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it can sustain itself for a long time. I'm sure it pays for itself, the servers that it needs. But
I'm sure it did pay for itself.
Oh yeah. They probably made enough money off that game and still have it in reserve to go for many more years. But that doesn't mean they can develop whole new, essentially a whole new game.
Right.
Because like the expansions for Destiny are, the base framework's there, but like they're building a whole new world environment and everything. So
exactly,
pretty big. But that's what's up with Bungie. We'll see what happens with them. I'll be really curious to see what the new project is gonna shake up and look like, but we'll find out. Well, on to more good news. Game Informer has shut down.
Good news.
I was kidding. That's not good news. Neither was the first thing. That's why I said on the.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This comes from actually an unlikely source, WTNHnews8.com. That's just the first place I found a good article. Game Informer, the longest-running U.S. gaming magazine, announced its closure after 33 years. GameStop, Game Informer's parent company, announced the decision in post on Twitter, August 2nd, 2024. The announcement saying, quote, after 33 years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from an ever-evolving world of gaming, it is with heavy heart that we announce the closure of Game Informer. From the early days of pixelated adventures to today's immersive virtual realms, we've been honored to share this incredible journey with you, our loyal readers. While our presses may stop, the passion for gaming that we've cultivated together will continue to live on. Thank you for being part of our epic quest, and may your own gaming adventures never end, end quote. The announcement comes after GameStop reportedly told Game Informer staff that it was closing immediately, and all staff were subsequently laid off. The final Game Informer issue was released on June 18th, and is titled the 367th issue and focused on the game Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Game Informer began its life as the house magazine of Funko Inc., a mail-order game store that advertised advertised in most gaming magazines of the day. The first issue was released in fall of 1991 and featured several reviews and included tips for Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Genesis.
Boo.
In 2000, Barnes & Noble bought Funko Inc. that the magazine would begin to rise in popularity and would be placed into the top 50 highest circulated magazines in the U.S. In fact, from January to June 2006, the magazine was the 31st highest circulated magazine, putting it ahead of magazines like Martha Stewart Living, U.S. News and World Report, and Entertainment Weekly. Pretty incredible. Brandon, I know you have a love-hate relationship with GameStop, but what about Game Informer? Did you ever have a subscription or anything?
No, we didn't really do that. I don't
Yeah.
know if we just didn't have the money or what, but we never really got shit ordered to the house like that. But all of my friends did. Like, literally all of my friends growing up had it, and it was always a pleasure just, going into their bathroom and sitting down and being greeted being greeted with 7 copies just sitting there waiting for me. Those are the old copies, of course. The new one was on the
Right.
the living room table.
Sure.
No, very, very fond memories. It's a very nostalgic thing for me, and I feel like unfortunately that's all it ever was. Even now, as it's shutting down, unfortunately they couldn't really adapt in such a way that they were able to be effective in the environment. I mean, obviously print is not exactly booming, but they didn't exactly pivot when that started to go down. So, being owned by GameStop is a tough thing. I keep seeing memes every day of how absolutely littered GameStop is with just junk, aka Funko Pops, and classic case again. We're seeing just trimming the fat. I mean, it does suck. It's a very nostalgic thing, like I said, for me, and I loved Game Informer, and honestly, I feel like I want to try and get the last issue somehow, even though I'm not really that. I mean, Dragon Age looks cool. Don't get me wrong, but it would just be cool to have the last one, I guess. We see all kinds of old copies at all these shows we go to, these vintage shows. But yeah, it definitely sucks to see. But part of me wishes they would have pivoted in some way. But I don't know what they would have done. The market's so saturated, and even the big boys are struggling now. So it's just. It sucks to see, but, it was going to happen sooner or later. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised it didn't happen a couple years ago at this rate.
Yeah.
I'm surprised COVID didn't just kill it, so.
Yeah. I had a love-hate relationship with GameStop my whole life, but as far as Game Informer went, like, it was always good because it was a cool old mag. It was a cool mag. I am part of the problem here. I'm sure that, I think that at the end there were probably only like 20 to 30 people working there, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong, but for the day and age we live in, where magazines are just not as prevalent, it does suck. But they had shifted more into an online focus and a lot of video work. Our acquaintance Alex Van Aken was still working there, so it sucks to see, even if it was a small group, those people lose their jobs and everything. But I think that it's probably another case of just this. It wasn't making money, so they had to shut it down. But the thing that does suck is that, like, they locked everybody out of the website. Nobody could retrieve their old stuff, which, you could make the case that maybe you should have a backup. But the fact of the matter is, like, why would you assume you need a backup? Because this is where you work. They locked everybody out. Somebody posted like a farewell tribute. They just totally deleted the Twitter account that it was on. Crappy stuff like that. So it sucks to see it go. And if you care about physical media, if you care about magazines, stuff like that, support them where you have the opportunity to.
It's that time.
It's that time for the train. The train does not run on schedule. It's just whenever it feels like it. There's no passengers, so it can do whatever it wants. But there's a few out there still, but not many. Most of them are like one-off. Crowd-funded kind of things. RPM Retro PlayStation Magazine is a good one that still does some stuff. Support those things because if you care about that, because first of all, there aren't many of them left out there. If really, are there any like big publications like that in print anymore that are just like normal magazines, not crowd-funded, not? No, I don't think so.
Not that I know of. Yeah,
I don't think so. Like. PC Magazine might still be a thing. Dude, I go into... first of all, I barely ever go into to grocery stores or anything because, just pick up or order from home or whatever. But I can't remember the last time I saw like a magazine stand.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not out in front anymore, at least
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean, they may be tucked away by a cash register, one or two, but those are usually just tabloids and shit. So
Yeah.
the stuff that probably actually still sells to the boomers. So
Yeah. Bummer. Ed in chat just said the schedule just says HP. I don't know what that means.
the train schedule.
Oh, that's true.
Yep. Yeah, they know it's time. Tuesdays at 7. They got to get at least one or two honks in per show.
When I'm streaming, I can pretty much bet that no matter what time, like if I start at 9, I could wait 10 minutes. The train won't come. I turn on the stream. 1 minute later, train goes by. It never fails.
Dude, whoever it is, like, just secretly has a vendetta against you specifically, Ben. They're like, this guy. They're like, I know this guy. He used to be the mayor. I'm going to honk the piss out of him.
I know. I know there's a there's one dude who rides that train, who conducts that train,
He just rides
who
it.
a lot of them, like legally there's a crossing, like a road crossing nearby, and that's why they have to do it. And they have to do it at all hours of the night no matter what, because, the law. Most of them are pretty respectful. They're required to honk 3 times. That's it. A lot of them just do that. They honk 3 times. They don't really want to be doing it. There's one guy who comes through at like 2 a.m. who you can tell is just bored as hell, and he's like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah." It's like 2 or 3 times a week. I'm like, there's Jimmy again. I don't know who it actually
Dude,
is, but
he gives you a shave and a haircut, 2 bits every single night at 2 a.m., bro.
yeah,
Do you blame him?
bastard. No, if I were on that train, I'd be wailing on that thing, man. Every time they'd let me, I'd be wailing on it.
Dude, that was the same crossing that the one night when I was at this event, like we heard police cars and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh yeah, someone just jumped in front of the train." I'm like, "Oh,
Oh yeah, that was last year, wasn't
oh
it?
fuck."
Yeah.
No, this was a different person. This was many years ago.
It has happened a few times. Yeah.
At the net, back when the net was.
Oh
a thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Game Informer sucks to see it shut down.
Oh, sorry.
Didn't mean to derail it that far, but the train has its own mind.
Oh.
Oh my
Didn't
god.
mean to derail.
I didn't mean to do that either.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
Let's just move on where there's no trains. Okay. According to GameInfinitus.com and many other places,
Ooh.
Larian Studios scrapped a partially playable Baldur's Gate 4 during development. It says, quote, Larian Studios developed Baldur's Gate 4 before deciding to discontinue the project. In a recent interview with PC Gamer, Larian CEO provided insights into the studio's decision-making process and the factors that contributed to the abandonment of the highly anticipated sequel. Following the success of BG3, Larian encountered significant pressure to continue the series. So if something is super successful, obviously everyone's asking you, when are you going to make the next one? The external pressure, combined with the developers emerging from an intense development period, left the team in a vulnerable state. Initially, Larian did not intend to create Baldur's Gate 4, but rather an expansion for Baldur's Gate 3. This approach seemed logical as the production pipeline was still active, and the engine and other resources were readily available. Progress was swift, with the team capitalizing on the existing framework. However, as the project evolved into a full-fledged new game, the scope expanded significantly. The team soon realized that dedicating 3 years to this expansion might not be the best use of their time and resources. As a result, the project was retooled as Baldur's Gate 4. Despite making substantial progress and achieving a partially playable state, the team ultimately reconsidered the project's viability. When the proposal to discontinue BG4 was raised, the developers reached a consensus to move on from the project. They also mentioned that Larian Studios' next game will not be set in the Forgotten Realms, indicating a shift in focus for the developer. Brandon, I think this is pretty crazy, first of all, that they were already had a playable portion of the next game. But I think it's awesome because they're like, yeah, we don't really want to do this. We're going to make something else now. And I think that we need more of that. Like, we need more studios to be like, we're going to do what we want to do. And not just do what's going to be financially I'm sure the next thing will be financially successful, don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
especially at this point.
Yeah, but to just be like, yeah, we're good. We'll move on.
Next.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think this is great. We speculated that there might have been some strange things going on with Wizards of the Coast and Larian.
Yeah.
Back when this was kind of announced that they weren't going to be working on the next one, because
Mm-hmm.
we did talk about this. I don't know if it was confirmed or it was speculated or what,
Yeah.
but something seemed a little bit weird, and I just looked up something that Larian is insisting that Wizards of the Coast is not to blame for them not working on it, and this article sheds a little bit more light on it. I feel like there might have been some weirdness with the Dungeons and Dragons IP. Maybe they just weren't willing to continue if it wasn't like something they were passionate about, which is clear. I mean, this studio wholeheartedly has a passion for this game. Just look at the updates. Just look at the care put into every aspect of it, and it's a better game for it. But mad respect for them for just standing up for what most studios can't. A lot of the time when a paycheck is waved in front of your face, it's easiest to just reach out and grab that. But it's not as fulfilling in the long run. It's not as fulfilling for you or for the consumer. So they did not fall into the trap that many, many, many people do. And I would much rather this be the case. So it is kind of crazy to think that they had something. I would imagine that whatever framework they did have for Baldur's Gate 4 was probably... I don't want to say it was like 1-to-1. Like, I'm sure there was improvements from 3, but I would imagine it's kind of like a God of War and 1 and 2, at least the reboot kind of scenario, where it's like it's really similar, right? But it's better in a lot of ways. So I would imagine that was probably the case if they were considering it also to be kind of more of a DLC as well. Regardless, it's kind of crazy the amount of content that game has, period.
Yeah.
So to think that they had something else in the pipeline is just scrapped or not. Whether it was scrapped ideas from the other one, it's just kind of crazy. So,
Yeah.
Props to them time and time and time again because they're doing it, man. And they can do it because they're independent.
Right.
And we've talked about that many times. They have this sort of freedom because if they weren't, the guy who's paying the bills might say, hey, you're making Baldur's Gate 4. That's, in fact, that's absolutely what they would say in this case.
Yeah.
They would say, you have no choice. You're making this. But thankfully for us and thankfully for them, they can work on something that they're actually passionate about. And it shows. It shows in the game. So this is ultimately the best possible scenario.
Yeah. I think they're still sitting at like 100,000 concurrents, too, right now on
Crazy,
Steam.
bro.
And that's not including, obviously, the console versions.
Insane.
So, yeah. That's, it's been a year, I think. Pretty close to a year, if not a year.
Yeah. On a single-player game?
A single-player game.
Crazy.
That's still full price.
And it's a turn-based RPG.
Right, yeah.
Really in-depth turn-based RPG.
Right.
Like, crazy. Yeah. It's... Everything about it doesn't make sense, but that just kind of is the mark of quality that's been put on this. So,
I need to get back to it, man. I stopped. So I got into the third stage or the third act, and then performance just tanked. And I know they've done a lot of fixes since then, but I also went on a trip like around the same time, and when I came back, I was just like, I'll wait, and then never got back to it. I probably just go back in and start over, but that's a story for a different day. Moving on. Hogwarts Legacy 2 confirmed?
Ooh.
Question mark. This comes from Game Rant. It says Avalanche Software may already be working on a Hogwarts Legacy sequel. That's suggested by a recently published Avalanche Software job listing spotted by Game Rant. Hogwarts Legacy recently made history as the best-selling video game of 2023 in the US. In doing so, it broke 14 years of sales dominance shared between Call of Duty and Rockstar titles. While making a sequel to such an immensely successful release seems like an obvious move for Warner Brothers, the company hasn't yet officially confirmed that it has plans to do so. However, WB Games subsidiary Avalanche Software may already be working on a Hogwarts Legacy sequel, as one recently publicized job listing from the company appears to be hinting at the existence of such a project. The posting, reviewed by Game Rant, describes an opening for a producer on an undisclosed project, adding that the ideal candidate would have experience working on an open-world RPGs or action/magical combat games. Are there many of those out there? I don't think there are. While the listing doesn't outright state that the advertised role is related to a new game, it describes the opening as being part of what's next for Avalanche Software after Hogwarts Legacy. Brandon, speaking of companies who were under somebody else's thumb. Avalanche is under WB Games' thumb, but like, how do you not make a sequel to the game that broke Call of Duty's record?
You do. I mean, I don't know why they just don't come out and at least like say like, "Hey, this is happening."
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. I really don't feel like they even need to say that. So like, this is speculation, but I'm telling you, it's happening. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a betting man. I would bet on this.
You're not a betting man, Brendan. Last week at the beginning of the show, you talked about a 5-leg parlay that you placed.
I didn't bet with my money.
Okay, that's fair enough.
So how about that? But I mean, even take a look at Avalanche Games. Just period. I mean, name a single thing that they've ever made that would make any sense for them to make aside from Hogwarts. There is none. There is absolutely nothing they could possibly want to make other than
They could
that.
go back to Skylanders.
Dude, Toys R Us is going to open back up. It's going to be great. They're going to be everywhere. It's just going to be, it's going to be wonderful. But yeah, man. I mean, this just makes sense. It
Yeah.
makes complete sense. And you know, Portkey, incredibly talented studio. We talked about it immensely last year. But yeah, would love to see what else they have, because even though we talked highly of the game, and I, feel very favorably about the game, I ultimately would like to see some things improved about it.
Yeah.
Namely combat. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is good, man. This is good and not surprising at all. I mean, I'm glad we read the article, but yes, it's coming.
Yeah, of course.
Like absolutely, it's coming.
Of course. I don't have much more to say about that you didn't already say. But chat did. Let's see. Shout out to WB yet again flirting with the idea of divesting itself out of gaming. I saw that rumor, and it gets floated around like every year. It seems like that. I don't know if they really are or not, but big companies like this just always constantly flirt around with what can they sell and make more money. So who knows? Got another one here. Crazy how Avalanche became the new premier studio for WB over Rocksteady. I don't know, man. After Suicide Squad, Rocksteady might be...
Shit the bed.
Well, I was going to say, you could be making the next big AAA banger, I think I saw today that Suicide Squad Season 2 premiered with 600 concurrent players. That's pretty great.
Ouch. That
Pretty
game
great.
sucks. That game fucking sucks. We played it again the other night. I fucking hate it. It sucks.
I'm only playing it at this point for Brad. And I mean, I'm having fun playing with the boys, but I'm only playing because Brad wants me to keep playing. That's it.
I actively don't like it.
Yeah. Santa Monica. This comes from Eurogamer. It says God of War Studio Sony Santa Monica is developing its first new IP in over 20 years, as spotted by a member of Resetera. I just have to say it that way every time I say it. Developer at Sony Santa Monica mentioned they've been working with the studio, looking after the entire character development pipeline on their new IP. In the About section of their LinkedIn profile, a developer supervising character development said they were thrilled to be back at Santa Monica after a brief departure to work at Striking Distance and Unknown Worlds. Quote, Santa Monica Studios presented the opportunity of coming back as character supervisor, looking after the entire character development pipeline on their new IP. So here I am, thrilled to be back, working again with the crew and pushing characters in video games together, the developer said. As you no doubt expect, the devs stopped short of revealing what exactly the IP is or what kind of characters they were developing. They started out with PS2 racer Kinetica in 2001, but since the first God of War in 2005, Santa Monica has worked solely on that series, besides assisting development on other projects. Brendan, you remember a little while back, Corey Barlog on Twitter was teasing like some kind of new space project or something? That got scrapped, apparently. Or maybe it just got delayed. I don't know. But either way, a new IP for Santa Monica. They make good games. You may not love God of War, but it's a good game either way.
Absolutely, it's one of the best. Even like you said, even if you don't like it, it is one of the most high quality AAA games that exist and have existed. Period.
Yeah.
When you leave Santa Monica, it's obviously a questionable decision. He probably got like a pay raise, something like that.
Yeah.
But to be working with Striking Distance, which I don't want to talk smack, but after the Callisto Protocol, and then as much as I love Subnautica, Unknown Worlds, it's like obviously it's a no-brainer to come back to Santa Monica. and I'm very interested to see what they have up their sleeve. I'm very glad, and I might be in the minority here, but I'm glad to see that they're working on something new.
Oh yeah.
Much like, I hope Guerrilla Games is able to move past Horizon. Like, I hope a lot of these things are able to like be put to bed. Naughty Dog, we need to be past The Last of Us. Like these developers are so fucking talented, and I'm not saying that we don't want more of the IP in the future or that we can't like get smaller experiences or something like that. But I'm super stoked to see this really talented team work on something different, because as great as these series were, I think that they would blossom even more with something new and, kind of just stretching the creative legs, so to speak. So, yeah, I don't really know what's in the cards here, and I don't think we have any indication whatsoever. I know you said there was like some sort of space thing. I mean, that would certainly be in a completely different direction. And I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Just something completely new and fresh would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be great. I love new IP, and I'm okay with the current IP continuing to go. But the problem is, at this point, we've got these giant life cycles for the production of games.
Exactly.
And there's no way you can get out a different game in between them if you want them to come out at a steady clip. Like, I don't know. There is a way. Instead of Naughty Dog working on The Last of Us 2 and making it a 30-hour game, shave 10 hours off that bad boy. You could easily have been done, in my opinion. Guess what? You just freed up a year and a half. I mean, okay, that's not actual math. I'm not an idiot. I know that like the beginning of the game takes a lot longer than the middle of the game, but
Right.
my point is like it would definitely cut down on dev time.
Right.
Instead of making Ragnarok 30 hours, tell the same story in 20. Just shave off a 30-year games, get games out in 3.5 years instead of 6. I'm simplifying it. Again, I just need to clarify that. Sometimes we get some weird comments from people who I've never heard of before, like, you're an idiot. That's not how long. And I'm like, whatever. Okay. I know. I'm exaggerating to make a point.
Right.
It's called hyperbole. My dad taught me about it when I was a kid. But Radek says there's still going to be a new God of War. That's true. I'm pretty sure they've said that. Do you think it'll be a remake or an Atreus spinoff? I don't know. I think they could do an Atreus spinoff, but if they want to make money, they need to do another one with Kratos, because Atreus is fine. Kratos is the God of War.
Right.
Atreus could become the God of War, but not unless he looks, acts, and sounds like Kratos. Like, that's just what the people want. That's what people want.
Right.
And I think Atreus is a cool character, and I like the story there and everything, but I don't think it's enough for a full-length AAA game, honestly.
Right.
But I don't know, Brandon. It's hard for me to think that. I mean, I'm assuming Santa Monica has more than one team going.
Right.
But I'm assuming somebody, whether it's Santa Monica or not, is going to be working on the next God of War 6 or 12 or whatever number it goes by based on what system they sold it on and whatever. A third one in this series. But I don't know if that's going to be a Santa Monica or somebody else, and if it's going to be before or after this new IP. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what I would love is I would love an Atreus story, kind of like First Light, where it's kind of like its own little experience. Yeah. And that's not necessarily taking anything away from it. I just feel like it would be cool to be able to explore that. And if it was like maybe, let's say $40 price tag, maybe it won't sell as well as God of War, but we still get a bit of intrigue.
Sure.
We still get a bit of pan ass as it's spoken. But yeah, I would love something like that. But ultimately, like I said, new IP is what I'm yearning for. And we need new IP from studios that are talented. And ones that aren't tied down with live service models. So,
yeah, I mean, live service certainly has its place. It makes money. I get it, but I want stuff that's not that too.
Yeah,
I like live. Probably most of my gaming time is live service, but that doesn't mean that's all I ever want to play.
Well, it's also like the market's saturated, right? So we have to have stuff that's not that.
It is, but is it? Because like Helldivers 2 is technically a live service game. It blew up. Okay, let's not talk about current numbers, whatever. But like, there was room for that game. It made an enormous amount of money. Like, there's still room for live service. It is saturated. You're right, but I'm not saying that doesn't mean nobody else can ever make one that's successful.
Right. No. I'm glad it's there, but what I'm saying is that I don't want to lose this sort of thing. Is more what I'm saying, that like I want to keep these maybe not even necessarily single player, but like these more story driven, story focused, quality AAA content that doesn't have to have a battle pass. So.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan's in the chat as normal and says the Hulkster is craving a God of War 1 remake, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't mean I don't want God of War, the original God of Wars, all packaged together and sold to me again for $70. I want them to be remade.
Yeah.
And to be, fairly faithful to the originals, but I could use something else too. For show. Our last news story. Oh, wait. You put another thing in here.
Yes,
I'll let you talk about that when we get to there. Next thing. Avowed. This comes from Insider Gaming. Says it is being delayed into 2025. In the latest Notepad newsletter, Tom Warren says that the game is being delayed slightly from fall 2024 to early 2025. Has this been confirmed, by the way? I think they confirmed this now.
I didn't see this confirmed. I actually am just hearing about this now. But
okay. I understand Avowed is in good shape. This is more a matter of wanting to give the game breathing room outside of a very busy period for Xbox Game Pass. As of publishing, Obsidian has yet to make an official announcement. I think they did. Is chat saying they did? Let me look. I don't see it yet. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that they announced this officially. But Brandon, one, are you excited about Avowed?
Actually, yes.
Yeah? You are?
No, go ahead. I didn't know you were keeping on here. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. Are you excited about Avowed? The answer is yes. I already know. And also, what do you think? Like, we got a lot of stuff coming out specifically in Game Pass this fall. And let me, just as an aside, Call of Duty, now that Microsoft owns them, Call of Duty is going to be a problem for their release schedule every single year for the inevitable future.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ed says, by the way, in chat, they did do it officially.
Okay.
I was pretty sure I saw it, but then I didn't have it written down. Anyway, tell me about Avowed and your feelings.
No, dude, Avowed looks great. Obsidian makes great games. I don't have a ton of experience with New Vegas personally, but I cannot tell you how many people I really care about and respect their opinion have talked incredibly highly about the game and Obsidian in general. So for them to be making a game that is more modern, it's many years have passed since then, and it's almost akin to Skyrim in a way. It's more of a fantasy than a sci-fi. This is great. On paper, this has everything I wanted, and even after watching all the previews, I am very excited for this game, period. I do think it's interesting that they are bumping it. I wonder, in part, how much of this has to do with Call of Duty, period. I'm trying to think of what else is coming out in that exact time frame. But
Indiana Jones is coming out, Call of Duty. There's a couple others. I'm just having trouble placing them right now.
Yeah. Even so, I mean, I don't want to say Avowed's going to get lost in the Call of Duty sauce.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that like everybody who wants to play Avowed also wants to play Call of Duty. I do. Yeah. I do. But I would imagine most of the people that want to play Call of Duty don't know what Avowed is.
Sure.
Just because there's so many. I'm not saying there's not a lot of people that might not. But I don't know. I guess this is going to be better for the game overall. I don't think this personally, but I wonder if this is a tiny itty-bitty stamp of quality on it. Now, if they really, really genuinely thought this was going to absolutely blow people's socks off, would it have mattered?
Yeah, I still think it would have.
Okay.
Think about how many amazing games have just been overshadowed by something else.
Yeah, but usually it's like even more astronomically better games. Like what was it? Forbidden West and Elden Ring?
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. Like, one of those is clearly so much better, right?
Right. Oh, but don't worry. Forbidden West sold 1 billion copies anyway. I
fucking hate that game. The more I've got away from that game, I fucking hate it.
Alex brings up a good point that there's other games besides just in Game Pass. We've got Veilguard, Assassin's Creed Shadows.
All right.
There's a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of stuff this fall, for sure.
It's busy. I get it. I guess this will be a net positive but like that's just the thing is like I'm trying to think of what is coming out early 2025. I mean, I feel like half of the year is busy anymore. So
Yeah. Obsidian also, I'm sure, can use the time because even though their games have been fairly well received, like I'm
bugs.
sorry, but Fallout New Vegas, I played it before and after release. I actually have not gone back to it since then because it was so buggy. I hated it. I know people love it and it's amazing, and I'm sure I would enjoy it if I played it again now. But it had a lot of problems. Outer Worlds, when it launched, had some problems with it. Grounded, of course, famously in early access for like 17 years, which it's a fine game and everything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, they're not. They could use the time. What developer doesn't want the time? First of all,
Right.
but they could use the time. I think of all the different options that there were, it seems like it's probably the best pick
Fair enough.
to delay a little bit later. So, Brandon, you have listed here Black Ops 6 leaks.
Dude,
Hit
have
me
you
with
seen
them.
these? Have
No,
you
I
seen
haven't.
these?
No.
Holy shit, dude. I don't know the story behind this, and maybe somebody in Discord. I actually meant to look it up before the show, but I had dinner with my family and I didn't have time. There's an insane amount of shit. Like, full games, all kinds of weapons, masterworked blueprints with inspections, perks, maps, menus. I mean, just a fuck ton of stuff leaked about Black Ops 6. Like, astronomical shit. Like, whole matches. People doing, like, trying to do 360 scopes with sniper rifles. Like, it's, like, playable for these people. I swear to God, somebody at work, I don't know if they were exaggerating, but they were like, I swear to God, I saw someone streaming it. Like,
Oh, really?
I don't
Wow.
know what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
Like, Ed in chat is saying PS4 beta build leaked.
That's what I saw, too.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Crazy. We've gotten leaks before from Call of Duty. Usually it's like a screenshot or like, this is crazy, dude. Like, and I know we're mere weeks away from the beta. I think it's at the end of August. But still, it looks crazy. I can't really say too much, obviously, without getting my hands on it. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm just excited for it. I feel like I've been talking about it for a couple weeks now. I'm itching. I'm absolutely itching, especially after taking a year off. I really like Cold War. I put a ton of time into Cold War, so I'm exceptionally excited to get my hands on another Treyarch game. But some really interesting stuff in those leaks. I don't know if you got the chance to peep any of them.
I'm
but
looking at it right now. I didn't even see it before now.
dude, I'm not gonna get too excited because obviously, like, you got to play it, right? And that's
Sure.
like ultimately, obviously it's a gun and you're running around and it looks like Call of Duty, but like,
Right.
it is also kind of crazy that this much got leaked. So, pretty wild stuff. I figured I'd just bounce it off you and see what you thought, but obviously you didn't. You didn't
No,
see
I
any
haven't.
of
I
it.
haven't caught up with it. I mean, I am excited. I want to play Call of Duty again, but I'm not getting my hopes up because the last like 4 Call of Duties we've looked at and been like, that looks awesome, and then we
Right.
play it, and then we're tired of it, and then whatever. So, here's the most disappointing thing to me about this leak. It's still good, or about Call of Duty, Black Ops 6.
What?
It's still going to be on PS4.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it. It's a huge
Yeah.
player base.
dude, it's
Come on,
so,
man.
so big. I know. Something of this magnitude, like it, they just can't at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, if they could, I'm sure they'd try and sell to 360 people as well and PS3 people if they could make it work.
They're like, we know the store shut down, but you can play it through cloud on your 360. Please sign up for Game Pass.
physical discs or something like you have to buy.
Yeah, this game would have to ship on like 94 discs.
Dude, 300 gig. It would just be like it'd be like, this is the map pack 1. You gotta put in and there's like 6 map pack disc. It's like insert map pack 6 disc.
You go to join your buddy in the lobby. It's like, please insert correct disc for this map. Forget when you used to have to buy the DLC or else you couldn't matchmake with your friends.
Right.
Now you have to put in a different disc. And now people are like, I got a Series X.
Right.
No, yeah. Anyway, the whole thing. All right, Brandon, it's time to get into what we've been playing. And I know all you have listed here is Fortnite,
Yep.
but I want you to actually talk about Fortnite. Tell me
Yes.
about it.
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot with my brother
Okay.
and his girlfriend. It's been great. Not really. I was kind of bitching a couple seasons. Playing with them has been great. The actual like gameplay is kind of frustrating. The car fisting meta, as I told you about a little bit ago.
Yeah.
But I decided, I was well on my way. I was like level 70 something, 80 something, and I was like, holy fuck! Like I'm pretty close to finishing this. And the Fallout suit in the battle pass this season is the power armor. I was like,
yeah. I saw
that'd
that.
be pretty fucking cool to have. My
Yeah.
brother has the Doom Guy skin and all the variants, and I'm jealous because I was like, I want to buy that. I would probably buy that, but I can't because it's gone now because it was
Yeah.
in the battle pass. So I was getting like, if I don't get these Fallout skins, they're going to be gone. I'm never going to be able to get them again. And then in a year and a half, when we decide we want to pop into Fortnite like we always do, like every 9 months,
Yeah.
I'm going to want that and I'm not going to have it. So I decided to kind of go for the challenges. I ended up completing the battle pass 100% and then some, and it's been fine. It's been fine. The game is a lot of fun when you play it exactly how you're expected to play it, like with the fists and with the cars. But it's just not fun when you don't have that.
Right.
So the idea is to just get that as quick as you possibly can, and every single person on your team has to have it, and that's how you win the game.
Yeah.
At least for me. Maybe it's because I'm ass, but that's kind of what I've been doing. Nothing else aside from that. Truly.
Yeah.
You know what? I did pop in for a tiny itty bitty bit of multiverses. Nothing really new to note on that, but that's it, man.
Okay.
That's it. Still 0 build or nothing. That's all I gotta say. So
Yeah. Cool.
I'll be excited when the next season happens, because as much as I want to play with my brother, like I genuinely do, I'd play anything. It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
Who's my main? I am a Finn main. And what sucks is that I bought all these characters, right? I didn't spend real money. I spent in-game money, like I earned them. They're gone.
Wait, what?
They're gone. I bought Finn. I didn't buy him. I earned him in the original one, and now he has like a little stopwatch over his head, meaning that he's only there for a certain amount of time.
So when they gaslit everyone into thinking the initial release was a beta, they also took away all your stuff.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
I mean, unless I'm doing something wrong, or like I forgot to do like some account migration in the menu or something, like it looks like the character. And I had one other character. I cannot remember who else I bought, but I didn't like them very much. Maybe it was...
I can't quit yawning, man. I don't even feel tired, but my body obviously is telling me,
Dude,
you need more oxygen in your brain.
I have that effect on people. But yeah, that's it, man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to have to log back onto my PlayStation and check, but I played... I don't know. I'm going to have to look. I feel like everything carried over for me. Maybe it's Canada?
Get good, Brandon.
I know. I don't know, bro. I'm going to have to check again, but it looked like there was a little time thing over Finn's head, and I absolutely had Finn because that was my main, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I literally played like one match, and then my brother got on, so I might have to take another look, but it wasn't looking promising when I was looking. So.
For me, wait, so he says he's just into the weekly rotation. I wonder if that means you can only play him certain times? I don't know. Maybe you just got to reconnect your account or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll just report back, but
Yeah.
it may be fine.
Yeah. Hopefully Finn comes back to you.
He better.
For me, still been playing a good bit of Season 12 of Sea of Thieves. I talked about it pretty extensively last week with the Burning Blade and the New World event and everything. It's pretty great. I'm still enjoying it, and honestly, just want to be playing Sea of Thieves at most times I'm playing anything else. Except this last weekend, I talked last week about wanting to get into the Marvel Rivals beta. I eventually did get a code through the Twitch drops, and I got to tell you, Brandon, I really, really enjoyed it. Now, I know that part of that may be due to my bias for Marvel. I totally understand that. But I also very much loved Overwatch for a long time. And honestly, still when I pop back in, I have a good time. But this game is really solid. And it's just, this was just a play test. So I think it's going to be looking good, especially once they get some of the balancing stuff figured out, which, there's always going to be balancing stuff in hero shooters. But there's some really cool things about it. First of all the characters are like characters, most of the characters are like characters you recognize if you're into pop culture at all. You've seen them at the very least, if not actually watched a movie or read a comic or something like that with them.
Right.
I like the fact that in this game there's destructible environments. There's a lot of strategy involved in that. You take down the environment and you can place yourself up, but then eventually that environment does rebuild itself when somebody else takes over a point or something. So that's pretty cool because it provides a little bit of changing gameplay. Like there's not always the same corners somebody's going to peek you from. I like the fact that the characters, their relationships, like in the lore, trains back. Their relationships, like in the lore, translate to their abilities. So if you're playing in a match, and another character that has a team up ability is playing in that same match, they will actually buff each other. They'll enhance each other's abilities and give them other abilities as well. And that's something different that I haven't seen in a lot of other hero shooters. There's the ability to either play in free play, and this is again just in the beta. I'm sure there's gonna be more modes, but there's the ability to play either quick play, which is just casuals essentially, and there's also a ranked league, and then they have tournaments in the game too. I didn't play any of the tournaments at all, and I didn't get to play too much of the ranked. I made it to silver 2, or no, silver 1.
Yeah.
I didn't make it to gold. I was trying to make it to gold so I could get this permanent skin, but then literally the night I got to gold or to silver 1, like an hour later the beta was over, so I didn't get to get there. But yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think the movement is really good. It looks beautiful. It sounds great. Everything about it is just really cool. I'm sure I'm going to end up playing it. It's free to play. It runs really well. I can't say enough good things about it right now. And that's from somebody who absolutely loved Overwatch for a long time. I've fallen off of it just because I'm bored of it. But the appeal of the new player or the new characters for this, and it is slightly different. I mean, there's definitely a lot of they just copied that character for this character. And honestly, why not? Because Overwatch is one of the best at it. So might as well. But yeah, I'm pumped for the full release. I'm going to be playing it for sure. And I'm happy that there'll be no barrier for my friends to play with me.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
That was one thing in the beta that really sucked, was that I couldn't get codes for all my buddies to play, or any of my buddies to play. And so I was just playing it alone. I mean, with a team, but alone. And it's always just more fun to play games like that, in my opinion, with your buddies.
Especially, it's still like team based.
Yeah. I will say that in casuals, it was a little bit, whatever. Everybody was doing whatever they wanted. But in the competitive mode, people were actually playing fairly well. Like, people were using the right team up stuff. People were calling out angles and actually communicating. So that made it nice, for sure.
Absolutely.
Brandon, I think that's all we got for the show, man.
That's it, man.
That flew by.
That did.
All you need is to get rid of Dave, and the show just whizzes on through.
1 hour, baby.
That's right. Hey, don't forget, you can join us on Discord. handsomephantom.com/Discord. We really do appreciate having you guys there. Even more than that. Maybe not even more. Just as much, even more. We appreciate having you on Patreon over at patreon.com/handsomephantom. Sign up for as little as $1 a month. Get ad-free early access to the show on audio feeds. Be caught up with all the newest gossip. The train sounds. Everything you need is there. We're going to finish up by sorting out the title of the show. But Brandon, that's it for the audio.
Join the fucking Discord.
You heard him. You heard the man. Goodbye. What do you think, Bando? Ed suggested earlier Game Informer derailment. I don't really know. That's a little.
It's kind of mid.
It's kind of mid. It's also kind of like a slap in the face, maybe. I don't know. We could call it. Actually, I'm not even gonna pretend like I'm so bad at being creative with that kind of stuff.
What has it been? Say it.
No, I was literally just saying that, hoping I would come up with something, and I didn't.
Bungee jumping the shark.
I like bungee jumping the shark.
Send it.
Send tweet. All right. That's it. That's all we got.
Is it?
Oh, Poot came up with, I thought you came up with that. I was like, that was kind of clever, Brandon. But no, it was Poot.
No, it wasn't me.
Man, you
Thanks,
fooled me.
Poot. Thanks, Poot.
Appreciate it. Pootorama. Let's get out of here, dude.
Let's go.
I'm
Good
tired of all
night,
these
y'all.
people. I'm tired of all these people anyway.
Bye.